A warm welcome to every viewer joining us today. We appreciate your time and curiosity. As we embark on this journey of enlightenment, we delve into the murky waters of political corruption, a phenomenon as old as politics itself. In the annals of history, we find the earliest records of political corruption etched deep within the Roman Republic. Imagine a time when togas were the height of fashion and the wheels of politics were greased by the grimy hands of bribery and nepotism. These practices were not merely the indiscretions of a few dishonest individuals, but rather they were woven into the very fabric of society. As time marched on, political corruption evolved like a malignant tumor, spreading its tendrils, reaching into every corner of civilization. What began as simple acts of bribery and nepotism gradually transformed into a monstrous entity that threatened the very foundations of society. Embezzlement, extortion, lobbying, each a new head sprouting on the hydra that is corruption. And with this evolution, political corruption ceased to be just a local problem. Its effects rippled outwards, disrupting economies, undermining democracies, and eroding trust in governments around the globe. It became a global dilemma, a universal affliction that spared no nation, no matter how rich or poor. But let's not forget, political corruption is not just an abstract concept, nor a mere inconvenience. It's a tangible force that distorts representation, compromises the provision of public services, and increases the cost of doing business. It's a beast that feeds on public investment, spitting out poor quality infrastructure and services in return. As we prepare to navigate the labyrinth of political corruption, we invite you to join us in this quest for understanding. Before we delve deeper, please hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends. Stay informed and help others do the same. Now that we've understood the roots of political corruption, let's examine how it has evolved over time. Political corruption has been a part of human societies since their inception, but what's alarming is how it has grown more sophisticated and widespread over the centuries. It's no longer just about individuals misusing their power for personal gain. Today, we witness a more complex form of corruption that has seeped into the very institutions that were supposed to safeguard our interests. Take, for instance, the practice of lobbying. While it's legal and often considered a part of the democratic process, it becomes a form of corruption when it's used to unduly influence lawmaking for the benefit of a select few at the expense of the many. Then we have extortion, another form of corruption that's as old as time but has taken on new forms in the modern world. Today, we see it being used as a tool by those in power to intimidate and control, often with complete disregard for the law. And let's not forget about the misuse of power for personal gain, a form of corruption that has evolved to alarming proportions. Today, it's not just about embezzlement or nepotism. It's about the manipulation of entire systems to serve personal interests, often leading to the deprivation of resources and opportunities for the masses. What's truly concerning is the shift from individual corruption to institutional corruption. It's when the very institutions that were meant to protect us become complicit in these corrupt practices. It's when these practices become so ingrained within these institutions that they start acting against the public's interests consistently. This is the point when corruption stops being an isolated incident and becomes a systemic issue. As we can see, this evolution of corruption has led to a more intricate and damaging form of exploitation. But it's not all doom and gloom. In our next segment, we'll be looking at the victims of corruption and the steps that are being taken to fight against it. Stay tuned. We've seen the evolution of political corruption, but who really pays the price? The cost of corruption is not just a number on a balance sheet. It's the potholed road that jolts your commute each day, the hospital that lacks necessary equipment, or the school where teachers are in short supply. It's the small businesses stifled by unfair competition and inflated costs. It's the dream of a better life that remains just out of reach for too many. Political corruption is a betrayal of public trust. It undermines the very foundations of our society, democracy, fairness, and the rule of law. When politicians use their positions for personal gain, they distort representation. Instead of speaking for the people, they speak for themselves or for those who offer the biggest bribes. This distortion of representation compromises the provision of public services. Funds that should be dedicated to infrastructure, education, and healthcare are diverted into the pockets of the corrupt. The result? Lower quality services for the public. Roads crumble, schools struggle, hospitals fail, and the economy stutters. Corruption also increases the cost of doing business. It creates an uneven playing field, favoring those who are willing to break the rules over those who play fair. This stifles innovation, discourages honest entrepreneurs, and ultimately hampers economic growth. Consider the differing economic development between Africa and Asia. In many African nations, rampant corruption has led to capital flight, where money and resources are moved out of the country, leading to economic stagnation. Meanwhile, many Asian countries with stronger anti-corruption measures have seen more stable and consistent growth. Corruption is not a victimless crime. It robs everyday citizens of opportunities, it erodes faith in public institutions, and it hampers economic development. Each act of corruption is a brick pulled from the structure of our society, and if left unchecked, the whole edifice could crumble. Clearly, the ones who suffer the most are the citizens and the economy. Our next scene will explore how we can fight back against this insidious enemy, so stay tuned. With such a deep-seated problem, is there hope for a corruption-free future, you may ask? Yes, indeed there is. Around the globe, concerted efforts are being made to combat political corruption, and it's not an easy task, but strides are being made. Let's start with law enforcement. This plays a pivotal role in the fight against corruption. By investigating, prosecuting, and punishing those who misuse power for personal gain, law enforcement agencies can send a powerful message. Corruption will not be tolerated. Next, we have transparency. This is about shining a light on the often murky world of politics. It's about making sure that the public can see how decisions are made, who is making them, and why. Transparency can be increased by things like open meetings, public records, and freedom of information laws. Accountability, too, is crucial. This means that those in power must answer for their actions. It can be achieved through things like checks and balances, independent oversight bodies, and robust legal systems. Public awareness is another key piece of the puzzle. By educating the public about the nature and impacts of corruption, we can help foster a culture where corruption is not just frowned upon, but actively resisted. Now let's talk about success stories. Countries like Botswana and Rwanda have managed to significantly reduce corruption through comprehensive reforms, strong leadership, and public support. They've shown that, with the right approach, corruption can be curbed. And then there's the global community. International organizations like Transparency International and the United Nations are playing a crucial role in the fight against corruption, advocating for stronger laws, better enforcement, and greater transparency on a global scale. So, is a corruption-free future possible? It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to happen overnight. But with concerted effort, with determination, and with the will to make a change, it is possible. The fight against corruption is tough, but with collective effort and determination, a corruption-free future is not just a dream. As we come to the end of this enlightening journey, we've explored the roots of political corruption, its evolution, and the victims it leaves in its wake. We've seen the fight against this insidious practice and the importance of staying informed and vigilant. This isn't just history, it's a cautionary tale. Each one of us holds a piece of the puzzle in eradicating corruption. Your awareness, your voice can make a difference. Thank you for staying with us till the end. Remember, change begins with awareness. Stay informed, stay vigilant. Until next time, goodbye and take care.